Hello, welcome to a new video. Today we have a beginner's guide for this new gimbal by Hohem. This is the iSteady M6 smartphone gimbal stabilizer. We're gonna check it out, go through all the different features and modes, everything you need to know to get started. I'll see you after the intro. Right, we're not gonna waste any other time. We're gonna go straight into the tutorial. And first of all, bear in mind, guys, I'm using a Samsung A40 for this tutorial. We're gonna start from an unboxing, see what comes with the gimbal. And first of all, the gimbal comes in a padded case, which is always very, very helpful. Inside the case, you get the gimbal, of course, a tripod to place under your gimbal. Then we get a manual, which is actually very handy this time, a light with AI sensor, and we get two charging cables, one USB-C to USB-C, and then we got the second one, which is normal USB to USB-C. Very first thing we want to do when we get out the gimbal from its box is to put the tripod underneath. Of course, if you want to use it with a tripod, but it's definitely recommended because it will help you in balancing the gimbal. There's a 1/4 inch screw thread at the bottom. This is the tripod, you just screw it in. So we're going to understand how to charge our gimbal, because that's the very first thing you want to do to operate it. This is the digital display. You want to have it facing yourself, like so. On the right hand side of the gimbal, you will see a DC in port. This is where you are going to charge your gimbal from. And simply you get one of the cables I've just showed you, you connect it to your plug or USB-C adapter, and you connect the USB-C to this port right there. Simple as that. And the digital display will show you the battery level now, going up and down, telling you the gimbal is charging. There is a built-in battery in this gimbal, so we don't need to replace anything, which I really love. In terms of charging time, the gimbal will be charged in 3 hours, and the battery life will last from 6 to 18 hours. And that depends on many factors, such as the weight of your smartphone, also the modes of the gimbal you're gonna use, if you're using the light on top of the gimbal, and so on. The last thing I want to show you about the battery is the possibility to charge your phone as you're using the gimbal. So the gimbal works as a power bank, basically. You're gonna use the USB-C to USB-C cable. You can get also the cable for iPhone, but you need to purchase it separately. It doesn't come with the gimbal. You go to your phone and connect it at the bottom. Then under the arm here at the top, you will find an output. And you're going to connect the USB here. This has to be done when your phone is already balanced, and we're gonna go through this stuff in a second. I'm gonna power on the gimbal and have a look at the phone here. 62%, so the phone is charging via the gimbal. Next subject is gonna be the locks. When you find the gimbal, it will come locked. It has 2 different locks, main locks. One, it's at the back. This is for the pan axis. See, nothing is really moving apart from this arm at the top. Okay, to unlock the pan axis, this is the lock down here. We simply put it down, and now we can spin the gimbal, as you can see. The second lock is for the roll axis. This one here with the Hohem logo at the back. To set this lock free, you want to hold your gimbal here at the base. You want to have this lever towards you. Hold it and pull up. We are learning how to mount and balance your smartphone on the gimbal. So the payload that this gimbal can hold is 400 grams. Now every phone is different shapes, different dimensions, length, thickness, everything. So guys, don't ask me if your phone is going to balance on the gimbal, because I don't own all the phones in the world. I really appreciate your asking me, because maybe you value my feedback, but I can't give you an answer unless it's a phone very similar to mine. So what I recommend to do is to get back to the brand, to Hohem, ask them, send an email. They are very friendly, and I'm sure they will get back to you as soon as possible. But again, I've got a Samsung A40. That's what I'm gonna do with the gimbal today. You want to have your gimbal unlocked, as we've seen in the previous subject. You want to have the roll axis at the front of your gimbal, like so. Okay, the axis with the Hohem logo needs to be at the front. The display on the gimbal needs to face yourself. Then we pull the tilt axis to the right hand side, like so. You need to be reading the text here M6 upright. So you don't want to have it this way, upside down. Okay, make sure you read it correctly. And also, this is the mount. The mount should come like so as soon as you get the gimbal. This is for portrait mode. We're gonna check it later. So for now, you want to rotate it to the right, so clockwise, and it will say, you can read actually here, phone camera direction. So you place your phone with the back camera facing forward, and you open up the brackets, slide it in, make sure the phone is attached to the motor here. We're gonna check the landscape mode first, and then the portrait as well. One thing you wanna do before you balance it, guys, is to place on the gimbal anything you want to use. If you want to use the light and the AI sensor, you want to have it placed on the gimbal before you balance it. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna place the light right on top of my gimbal. If you want to add a microphone, you can do so. There's another 1/4 inch screw on the side and one on here on this arm at the top. So definitely you can play with things around, but make sure everything is on top of the gimbal before you balance it. You can see it's completely out of balance. Okay, now that I've got my light on top of the gimbal, I'm going to hold the tilt axis like so. And I want to make sure that my camera stays in any position I place it to. So the back camera is facing forward. So at the moment, it's really unbalanced, you see. What you have to do is to move your phone with these brackets up and down until my camera stays. Still a bit front heavy because it's falling. So I'm gonna move it down. Okay, there you go. If I place the phone in any position, the phone stays. Okay, I found my balance for the A40, but that's just for the tilt axis. Now we want to balance also the roll, because if I let go, the gimbal is going to one side. Okay, for this axis, there is a lever here. We pull it up, and now we can slide this arm right and left until we find that spot again where the gimbal is balanced. There you go. When you find it, you lock it back down. All right. Now bear in mind, guys, if you want to charge your phone through the gimbal, as I've shown you before, you want to have a gap between the USB port of your phone and the actual motor, because the cable needs to fit here. So make sure you've got that space, and make sure you balance your gimbal with the cable already connected, because it will unbalance everything again. And in this case, we need to rebalance this axis here, this arm. Simply pull up the lever and move it to the side, and there you go. But for the purpose of the video, I'm not gonna use it. Same thing, bear in mind for the next process, which is the vertical mode, the portrait mode. For the portrait mode, there's two options. I'm gonna show you the quick option, and that happens when you've got your gimbal powered up already. Keep this in mind for when your gimbal is on. You have the gimbal in your hands. What you do, you spin into the right hand side, for example, and the phone will tilt vertically and will stay there, and you can use the gimbal already in vertical mode. Now this is not the best option, I think, because you see you don't have enough range of movement that you will achieve by placing your phone vertically, and that's what we're gonna do right now. And yeah, to put it back in landscape mode from portrait, you simply spin it again and you're ready to go. I want to have a bit of space here now between the phone and the motor again, because I need to slide my phone out and rotate the mount. Okay, there you go. Now my phone will be upside down, so I need to take it out and replace it in with the camera at the top. Now, same thing, we need to rebalance everything. This time I'm starting from the roll axis. So pull up the lever here. We're gonna slide the arm until you'll find the spot, lock it. And we need to balance probably the tilt axis a little bit. Actually, it's already pretty good there. But if it's not, you can simply slide your phone up or down until it stays. Now that our phone is properly balanced on the gimbal, we're going to learn how to turn the gimbal on. On the right hand side, you will find the power button. You simply want to press it and hold it for 3 seconds, and that's what's written on the sticker as well. So let's go. 1, 2, 3. The Hohem logo will appear on the display and your gimbal will be on. Same thing if you want to turn the gimbal off. You press it and hold it. We're going to download the app Hohem Joy. So when you get the manual, but also on the box of the gimbal, you will find a QR code. We're gonna scan it with our camera and find the app. We're gonna open the page. If it doesn't work, just go on Google Play or the iStore and download it there. Okay, we want to install it, of course. Get it on Google Play, there you go. We're going to install. It's been installed, we're going to open it up. And we need to agree to the conditions. Click on agree. We need to allow to access the photos and media, of course. We want to have the location on, but I just say while using the app. Also tips, this to scan Bluetooth devices. Enable the location. Make sure your Bluetooth is on and your location as well. Okay, scroll down, make sure the Bluetooth is on here. There you go. The Bluetooth will be looking for your device. We're gonna skip it for now, go on done. And we're gonna go back to the actual app. There you go. You will see connection. Click here. iSteady M6. Pair. Successful connection, that's great. Good news. There's a new firmware. So first thing the phone is asking me, do you want to update your firmware? And yes, let's do it. Update now. So usually when you need to update the firmware, the gimbal will tell you, the app will tell you. Now click on the orange button here at the middle. Okay, yeah, we want to take pictures and video while using the app. Same thing for the audio. And there's a bit of a tutorial in here as well. Click to choose photo, take and record moment, blah, blah, blah. I'm gonna place my gimbal back down here. We're gonna go through all the different buttons and modes now. So we're going to learn how to operate the gimbal from the gimbal handle itself, because you can also control it via the app, and we're gonna check it later on. We talked about the power button, not gonna go through that again. We're gonna talk about the modes, so the different ways you can operate the gimbal. It's the M mode, it's this M button right here. By default, your gimbal, when you turn it on, should be in PTF mode, which means pan, tilt, follow. So if I pan to right, the camera will pan to right and left, same thing, up and down, that's the tilt. If I press it once, I will go to lock mode. Whatever I do with my wrist, the camera will keep facing forward to the original focus point. I press M again. We go to POV, which is a more free way to use the gimbal, and the camera will move also diagonally, as you can see, apart from left to right, up and down. We press it once more and we go to pan follow PF, which means we only can go from left to right, and if we tilt, the camera will not tilt. Now, if we press the mode button 3 times very quickly, 1, 2, 3, the camera will face up, but in this way we want to use the gimbal possibly in an horizontal way. The camera will start spinning, and this is the Inception mode. To go back to the normal mode, we can simply press the M button again, or the trigger, which we're going to talk about twice. 1, 2, and the camera will go back to default. If we press it 5 times, now we can recalibrate the gimbal. So if the gimbal is not aligned perfectly with the horizon, you want to place it steady on a flat surface, press 5 times the M button, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the gimbal will show you a calibrating warning on the display, and it will calculate all the different algorithms to, yeah, recalibrate it basically. Now, if we press it 7 times, we can also pair a remote control, which I don't have, so I can't show you. If you want to clear this paired device, this paired remote control, you press the M button 9 times. We will find a joystick, which is very intuitive, and it's simply, it's the most simple way to move your gimbal, your camera actually, up and down, left to right. So we talked about the trigger at the back of the gimbal or the front of the gimbal, depending on which way you're looking from. If we hold the trigger, as you can see here, an S text will appear on the display, which is sport mode. It's similar to POV, but in this way you can't go in a diagonal way. What it means is basically a quicker reaction to your wrist compared to the normal mode when you don't use the trigger. Then let's say my camera is towards the right hand side. For a quick recalibration to the default position, I double press the trigger and the camera would go to the original focus point. If I press it 3 times, we go in selfie mode to use the back camera, which is usually the best camera on your phone, and we can now do some vlogging there, and we press it 3 times to go back to the front. Now, I show you this thing here because it's interesting. Basically, when you use the camera of your phone in with the normal lens, there's a bit of motor actually, or this, you can actually see the thread on this arm in the frame. You will see there, okay? You can see it. Now, if you go with a wider lens, you can see even more of the gimbal in frame, which is not great. To avoid that, what you have to do is to press the trigger 4 times, 1, 2, 3, 4. And what's happening is the gimbal will place now the motor at the back of your phone, so it will not be in frame. And there you go. And actually it works exactly the same, but now you don't have any part of the gimbal in frame. This is a great option, guys, because many gimbal don't have this option. So you will have to either compromise the angles of your gimbal or have something of the gimbal in frame. To go back to the normal, to the standard position, you press 4 times. See, it's so cool. There is an extra way to lock all the motors, and that's by using the trigger. It's a double tap, but on the second tap you hold it. So you go 1, 2, and now the camera is locked, all the motors are locked. You release and you go back to the mode you were at. Let's talk about the rec button. Very simple. Once we paired the Bluetooth to the gimbal and the phone, now we're gonna get inside the app. About the rec button, if we half press it, we are going to focus before we click. There you go, it will focus on my hand. If we double press it, will switch between photo and video mode. If we triple press it, in this case, we are going to switch the camera front to rear. 1, 2, 3. So we're going to use the selfie cameras and back. We click it once, and we will either take the photo, or if we are in video mode, we can start recording. Same thing to stop recording. We just press it. Next to the rec button, there's a tiny lever in orange, and that's for the zoom. And as you can see here, if we paired it, there you go, I can zoom in or out. I put my finger so you will see by simply holding it. You can also switch to the focus of the gimbal. So if you want to use this lever for the focus instead, you do that and you will see the focus changing there. Right. Then we have a multifunction wheel on the left hand side of the gimbal. This is interesting, guys. So if we press it twice, like so, and you will see the display here, it's now in focus. So if I simply spin the wheel, I'm gonna adjust the focus. You will see here going up and down. If I double press it, we're going to switch to roll. And in this way, whenever I spin the wheel, the gimbal will use the roll. If I press it 3 times, 1, 2, 3, we're gonna go into the light mode. So we're going to start using the light. We hold it, 1, 2, 3. We are in RGB mode. Now, with the wheel, we can change the hue of the light, which is great. If I press it one more time, I change the intensity. So I'm gonna lower the intensity of the light. Press it 3 times, 1, 2, 3. I go back to CCT, and to turn off the light, again, we hold it 1, 2, 3. Look at this feature. The other 2 buttons left on the gimbal, A and B, next to the wheel, these are to set a time lapse, a motion time lapse, without using the app possibly. So if you are in your normal camera mode of the gimbal, I'm now in the app, but you can do exactly the same with your camera. You can set up a time lapse from the gimbal itself. The commands are this way. First of all, we're going to use the joystick to place the camera in a position where we want to start our time lapse from. And now I'm going to hold the A button, 1, 2, until I hear the beep. I'm going to move the camera with the joystick to a completely different position over here. I'm going to press and hold the B button until I hear another beep, which means the gimbal has recorded this position. If I want to double check the starting point, I press A again. All right, that's where we started from. Now, you want to press the record button on your phone first to make sure you're recording, and you're double pressing the B button to say to the gimbal, now go from A to B. 1, 2, another beep, and you can see the gimbal moving, starting to spin towards the position B, the second position. When it's done, you stop recording and you've got your time lapse on your phone. You will hear a beep when the time lapse is done. All right, guys, we checked some of the features of the app. We're gonna check the others. It's very simple app anyway. So starting from the left-hand side here, we can switch between front and back camera of the phone. This icon right there. Then we've got the frame rate and the resolution. Well, simple as it says, you can change those settings. Third icon is the face tracking. So let me do that. And then we're gonna press on the face tracking. It will recognize my face, and now I can move the gimbal from left to right and the camera automatically will recognize my face. That's pretty cool, but I'm going to show you another way to do so. And also you can track an object selecting the second icon. I'm going to deselect it. We got the settings button to actually use more settings of the gimbal, calibrate it, the speed of the movements of your gimbal, and so on. Top right, we are going to use some effects on our faces. Ooh, so fancy. Look at my chin. Yeah, stuff like that. And photo mode, this is simply to show gesture. There you go. With the V sign, you will start recording, and actually it's still tracking me. Right. Also, we're gonna stop that. You can play back your videos. We also have the time-lapse mode, photo video mode, and moments. So these are presets to operate your gimbal with certain movements of camera ready to use. Last thing, guys, is the very important actually, the sensor, AI sensor on the light. So that will help you to track yourself when you are on your own. For vlogging is great to create those cinematics movements. And first of all, you need to turn these on, the AI on the actual light. There's a button, you turn it on, and now you will see a flash on the light, but also a red light on the sensor here. It's a tiny camera. Okay, to turn on the sensor, we just want to do an OK sign to the camera. See the light turn green, and now the camera is following us. Wow, it's actually pretty smooth. Check this out. So I can't wait to test it outside. To stop it, you say Alt, the light will be red again, and the AI sensor will stop. So that works using any camera of your phone and also by placing it facing forward. Well, that's all, guys, for today. Hope the video was helpful. The tutorial will help you out in setting up the gimbal and using the gimbal. Consider to subscribe. It's a huge support to my channel, and there's so much stuff here, guys. Check it out. I hope it will help you with your content. I've done a few courses online as well if you want to learn video editing, content creation, photography, all that sort of stuff. Go on firmware.com, where you will find them at a cheaper price, but also you can find them on Udemy marked as best sellers. In any case, I hope you will join my community. Thanks for watching. Ciao, ciao.